Hello everyone, and welcome to my Jax guide.
Imagine if I had a real weapon.
My runes of choice is Conqueror, Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. In the second tree we go Magical Footwear and Time Warp Tonic. You could also go Resolve, and you can choose between Demolish, Second Wind, Bone Plating, and Overgrowth. Demolish is against units that you think will roam pre-minute 14 because you get extra platings and it gives you a lot of money and pressure. Second Wind is against opponents that will poke you continuously and you need a little bit more to sustain yourself. Bone Plating is against units that you think will all-in you a lot and you have to be a little bit strong in the all-in and try to win close fights. Last but not least, we have Overgrowth, which is basically just your scaling rune page. You do it if you want to be scaling and you don't need any of the other ones. In the small runes I go attack speed, AD, and the last one I take either defense with 6 per armor or defense with plus 8 magic resist, depending on what damage source your lane opponent have. Jax is a champion that's very versatile with his items, but if you're a new Jax player, I would advise you to stick to the standard core builds, which is to buy Tiamat, Trinity Force, upgrade your Tiamat into Titanic Hydra, and last get a Styx Gauge. After you got the core items, it's now time to build defensive items against the majority of your opponent's damage sources. Common items would be Guardian Angel against AD champions if you want a bit more damage and you think they have a lot of burst. Adaptive Helm if they have a lot of consistent magic damage, for example like a Cassiopeia. And then last you have Randon's Omen, which is very good against crit heavy AD carries and crit heavy enemy champions. For more advanced items on Jax, I'm going to be uploading a guide on every single match up top that I know, and I'm going to go into the specific items that you should buy to counter the enemy champions. The skill order on Jax is W, better than E, better than Q. You start the game with 1 level in E. At level 2 you have the choice between Q and W. W for more damage against melee opponents and Q against anyone else. The early laning phase. As Jax in the early laning phase, you have 3 options. One of the options is what I'm going to show here. So I'm doing the slow push where I hit the minions 2 to 3 times and then I'm going to slow push minions into the enemy turret. Generally what you want to do is you want to ensure the minion waves are always close to the middle so that you have more minions than he does. So you're always slow pushing, but you're not pushing too fast. Now the goal here is that I want to keep the minions here so I can do as much damage as possible to Diana while I'm pushing, and then potentially I can kill her with my jungler, or we can dive her with my jungler. Those 2 options are the best. Now this works really well because my jungler is starting bot side and his jungler is starting the top side of the map, which means we can do this really well. Now as you see, I'm jumping Diana and I'm doing as much damage as I can, but I don't want to use my E, because if I use my E ability, my shield, my counter strike, the problem is that I'm going to end up pushing too hard, which I want to avoid. It's very important to keep focusing on minion wave management instead of just trying to kill her. Jax mid and late game. The number one thing for Jax is to get as many items as possible and you don't want to team fight. So your job is to split push until you get at least 3 items. What you generally want to do is you want to try and split push on the opposite side of the map. So if your team is trying to fight for a dragon, you want to be split pushing top side. If your team is fighting for the Baron, you want to split push bot side. Right now there's no objectives up, so I just chose a lane, I went down whatever is comfortable, and then I'm split pushing. So the goal here is to push in the wave, and then after pushing the wave you have 2 options. You can either steal the enemy jungle creeps, or you could potentially force a fight, because now you have more numbers because you're 5 versus 4, and that's the only way you want to team fight in the early and mid game. The second way to team fight is the standard Mexican standoff, which is a 4v4 or a 5v5. This case is a 4v4 because Fresh isn't here, Syndra is dead, which means we're going to fight. So the number one thing to do here is dodge all poke, don't take damage. I'm already low on health, which is quite bad. And then you want to wait until the enemy team goes on my team or my team goes on them, and then I engage afterwards. You don't want to be the first to go in these cases because it's not good and you're generally going to get blown up if you do so. The enemy team decides to go on my team right here. They're walking forward, they used abilities already. I jump in secondary, and this is how we win the team fight. You see, we're already really low, we're in a bad situation. But because we fought better than they did, we end up winning this fight. Enemy team gets blown up. I'm gonna die because I'm extremely low, which I wouldn't have done if I hadn't taken this poke, which I could have done slightly better. And then we end up winning this fight. Even though Syndra joins the fight quite quickly, we end up killing 3 people and we only lose 2, which gives us the opportunity to take the inhibitor.